What's up, everyone? Kyle here. I'm really excited to be starting a subscription for this podcast. Now, that doesn't mean that you need a subscription to listen to this podcast, but the benefits of getting a subscription are no ads like this one, and a shout out on each episode, as well as knowing that your money is going towards doing something good. This money is not meant to go to me. Some of it is meant to help me maintain this podcast and keep getting guests on, but most of it is meant to go towards providing school supplies towards kids in need. It's my commitment to put $3 of every monthly subscription towards providing school supplies to kids in need and helping them achieve their goals and dreams as well. This is a passion of mine. This is something that I really have been pursuing. This is why I have started all this, the podcasting, the books, everything like that, was to give opportunities to other people. So I'm very excited to be able to do this now. The subscription is $4.99 a month, so nothing crazy, less, 1 cup of coffee a month, that sort of thing. But it's very exciting, and it's going towards something that I am really passionate about and believe in. And I hope you enjoy the benefits of being a premium subscriber. There'll also be discounts and things along the way that I'll make available to people as time moves on and as this continues to grow. The link to subscribe is in the description below, so check that out. There's also a link to donate towards the mission of providing school supplies to those in need, so you can do that as well. Thanks again, and enjoy the episode. All right. Welcome, everyone. This is Our Travel Experiences. I'm your host, Kyle Rasmussen, and today I'm with Joey, the founder of Barreled. Joey, how are you today?
Excellent. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, super excited to have you on. I've been following your journey for the last, 5 years now, something like that.
Yeah, we're closing in on year 8 now.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm really interested in the project that you got going on, and I really want to see it come to fruition. So I'm super excited to have you here to share it with everyone today.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
For sure. So tell me a little bit about Barreled and your background and how this came to be.
Yeah, so as you might guess, an odd idea, I tell people, comes from odd places, and this one's no different. So going way back to the beginning, I fell in love with surfing back in the 3rd grade. My dad showed me the Endless Summer videos.
Okay.
And I'm really not sure if it was the surfing or the adventure that I fell in love with, but I fell in love with it. And so every one of our little family vacations, I would always ask, can we just go somewhere with waves? And so growing up in a town called Woodinville, Washington, not exactly a surf bastion, I turned my attention towards a different sport. I was actually a very serious gymnast for 22 years. I competed through college and then chased a 2012 USA Championship goal. But an injury left me high and dry before I got to see that through. And as soon as I got injured, I began traveling. And so I did a year-long working holiday visa in Australia. And it was there that I realized that I could turn an old hobby, scuba diving, into a career. And that would be my future. And I would be able to go wherever I wanted and do whatever I wanted, and hopefully live some places with some good waves.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I had, during our dive master course, had a pretty terrible experience underwater, which rattled my confidence to the core. But I was not ready to give up on it. And so after I got back from Australia, I had a goal of getting my scuba instructor, that really terrible dive experience in my past, and I was broke. And I had met the Smith family in college. Me and Kevin Smith were in the same fraternity. And it was right then he was getting Bailbreaker Brewing Company started. And so I came over in March of 2014 for about 9 months just to help him schlep kegs, work production, work the tap room, and raise enough money to go get my dive instructor course. And so I was all signed up to head to the Maldives in what was that? That would have been the winter of 2014. And so I went into the doctors I thought I wasn't going to be in the United States ever again.
Yeah.
And so I went to the doctor one last time, and they did a physical, and they found a big old tumor inside of me.
Oh, gosh.
And so I have the nickname of the luckiest of the unlucky, because a lot of things go bad for me, but when they do, they go pretty good. And so they told me I had cancer, but eventually they biopsied it and found out it was benign. So I had some surgery, got it out. It set me about a year behind on my journey. So 2015 winter, I got to the Maldives to do my instructor course. And the combination of the time out of the water plus the bad experience made it pretty apparent that I wasn't going to be able to be responsible for other people's well-being underwater. Mm-hmm. I could get myself down, but I didn't have confidence that I could handle somebody else's panic underwater. Mm-hmm. And so I was standing in the tropic surf shop in Kutahura in the Maldives, December of 2015, when an Instagram video came out from Kelly Slater, the greatest surfer of all time. His artificial wave that he put out, that Instagram post, really changed, for me, my whole life, but I believe it changed the landscape of the future of outdoor recreation. Essentially, he made an artificial wave that was good enough that you could paddle in, catch, ride a barrel, which is the pinnacle move in surfing. And as soon as I saw it, I literally knew where I was supposed to put it, Yakima, and I knew what I was supposed to call it, barreled. And so I moved back into my parents' basement. This is January 2016. At the ripe old age, what am I, almost 30, 29, and started writing a business plan. And so I wrote a business plan all of 2016. In 2017, I knew I needed to find a home, so I moved over here and started the land search, moved back to Yakima, started working in the Bailbreaker tap room again. After a 3-year land search, it was very complicated to find a home, as you might imagine. Mm-hmm. After the 3-year land search, I found a guy named Mike Roy who was willing to partner with me and give us a home. And so, that's kind of how we ended up where we're at and how the idea came to be. Not exactly a direct path.
No, that's amazing. It's kind of all over the place, but it sounds like it led you, in the right direction.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you had told me 5-10 years ago that I'd be A, living in Yakima, and B, trying to build a surf park of all things in Yakima, I would have told you straight to your face that you're a crazy person. But like I said, I went to the University of Washington, and there I was a business student. So I kind of view everything through a business lens, whether I want to or not. Yeah. And so literally, I mean, I'm telling you, as soon as I saw it, I believe this is as impactful to the future of outdoor recreation as indoor climbing gyms were, as they I believe will be as ubiquitous as like ice hockey arenas, in malls. And so, I think, like I said, I think this will be everywhere because I think people are interested in surfing everywhere. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people kind of question that idea that there's surfers everywhere. But what I challenge you guys and your audience is, if you're ever watching TV, probably a live sport event is the only time you catch commercials anymore.
Yeah.
But watch the commercials and just count how many surfboards. You'll see surfboards in car commercials. You'll see surfboards in life insurance. You'll see surfboards in all sorts of stuff because it's an aspirational sport that everybody's interested in. Mm-hmm. Enough so that marketers are willing to tie their logo to it in these ads. And so, and especially in this region that is so outdoor recreation centric, I tell people we have surfers already. We just call them skiers and snowboarders.
Yeah. True. Just a sort of different way of surfing.
Yeah, skating evolved from surfing, snowboarding evolved from skating. And so there is a direct path, a direct link. The demographics of both participants are almost mirror images of each other. So I think there are a lot more surfers amongst us than we like to believe or admit.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I know I'm personally why I've enjoyed following you over these years is because I've never surfed before, but I've always been interested in learning to surf, and I never really wanted to do it in the ocean. Not a huge fan of the cold water, all the sharks out there. But like something like this, where it's artificial, it's a whole experience. Like that's something that would really intrigue me to do. And I'm sure it would for a lot of people.
Yeah, and don't get it twisted either. I am very much an amateur surfer. I am not good at surfing, and I actually think that is one of my superpowers that I'm bringing towards the development process. Is a lot of these projects are being developed by hardcore surfers, and they're focused on the hardcore surf community. I am not one of those, and that is not what I am interested in. What I am interested in is providing a platform to expand accessibility to the sport of surfing. So a guy like yourself schedules a Hawaiian vacation, come to our park first, spend the time, spend the hard hours of learning surfing in our pool, very controlled environment, no sharks, no currents, not super warm water, but warmer than the North Pacific. And instead of spending your Hawaiian vacation wasting it learning to surf, learn to surf here and spend your Hawaiian vacation surfing.
Yeah.
That's for amateur surfers. For the guys and gals that are experienced, the paddle muscles in order to catch a wave are a very unique set of muscles, very hard to train anywhere else except surfing. So that's another huge use is having guys, if you're getting ready for a surf trip, come get your paddle muscles in shape, so you're ready to spend hours and hours surfing. And then the final piece is we just made this a destination in itself. One of the reasons why it took us so many years to find a piece of property is we wanted to do it right. There are a number of these parks that are being built in port districts and next to highways and all that good stuff. More accessible, sure, but the ambiance and the atmosphere takes a bit of a hit. And I'm of the belief that when all is said and done, the atmosphere that you can cultivate will be the major differentiator for these parks. Because right now it's wave quality, but eventually all the waves are going to be really good.
Yeah.
So then it goes, how do you separate yourself from the guy down the road? And that's your atmosphere that you have focused on. And we took extra effort to make sure that we've got a pretty good one. We're in the southern slope of the Yakima Ridge. So we've got an incredible view of Mount Adams. We're up against the Yakima Training Center, so there's no development. So it's very quiet, very rural, hidden in the orchards. Essentially, our guiding light when we were choosing a piece of property was Surfrider Magazine did a survey in 2016 asking surfers what is the number one criteria in your selection process when choosing your next surf trip. The number one answer was a pristine natural environment. So putting these next to highways and freeways and you got semi trucks whipping by, while it is an easier way to get these things built fast because of the zoning that's already ready for it, I think the long term it will hurt the overall success of the project. And so we took great care in turning our piece of property into a destination. There's a campground, 21 campground sites, 21 RV slots. Wow. There's an individual cottages is kind of our deconstructed hotel. There'll be a bar and restaurant, which will be modeled after kind of a Whole Foods style. They're kind of hot station, cold station. They're food courts that they got in there. If you're familiar with those. And then we've got beach volleyball. There'll be lounge pools for the people that aren't participating in the surf pool. Playgrounds. There'll be an off-leash dog park, a pump track. Wow. We really wanted to make it the place to be, especially in Yakima, and especially for families was a huge focus for us because having lived and worked in the Bailbreaker tap room, I can tell you that on any given weekend, there are hundreds and hundreds of athletic sports families coming into town for sports tournaments. Yeah. And the one thing that one of the times that the light bulb went off for me about the potential for Yakima is one of the Saturdays that we had probably 20 kids in baseball uniforms, and I asked one of the parents, like, "What are you guys doing at a brewery of all places? I mean, you got families and kids."
Yeah.
And she looked at me and said, "There's no place to take the kids." And so not only is there a gap in the Yakima market for family-centric activities, there's also a gap in the market in the region for surfing. And so I would like to be the one to fill all those holes. So, yeah.
So how did you decide on Yakima? Was it because of all those reasons, or?
So number one, first and foremost, I was looking really anywhere in the rain shadow of the Cascades. What was most important for me was to provide an experience that would be different than what somebody could get out on the Washington coast. Mm-hmm. On the Washington coast, it's always cloudy and rainy. So the first thing I was looking for was sunny blue skies. And Yakima has whether people like the nickname or not, the Palm Springs of Washington is a pretty good descriptor of the climate. So I started focusing on Yakima, but I was looking at Chelan and Ellensburg, at Tri-Cities. Couple of key factors. Number one, we're a lot less windy than Ellensburg and Tri-Cities, which is very important for wave quality. We're still windy, and that'll be our number one natural enemy, but we're a lot less windy than some of these other places east of the Cascades. The other real key is Yakima sits 1,000 feet below Ellensburg and Wenatchee and Chelan, which means we get warmer earlier and we stay warmer longer. Now, Tri-Cities gets a little bit warmer quicker than us, but they're also an hour further out. And so I was trying to balance weather, distance from the population hubs, and being able to give that differentiating experience that I think is going to be so important. And Yakima has a very distinct culture, especially around the craft beverage industry that we have hung our hat on with the name Barreled. That is a tip of the cap to the winemakers and the distilleries and the breweries that have made this valley so famous. So yeah, there was, between the culture, the weather, it all just seemed to be coming up Yakima. So and being equal distance in between Portland, Seattle, and Spokane is absolutely huge.
Yeah,
it is. That is a huge factor.
Yeah, you can pull from all of those different, major cities.
Well, yeah, and not only that, we're the east entrance to Mount Rainier National Park, so we've got all of the backpackers and outdoorsy folks. We already talked about how it's a sports tournament mecca, and then the Gorge is only an hour away from us. And so if you are headed to the Gorge from anywhere south of Olympia, you are coming up I-82.
Yeah.
And so all the musical festival goers that are also overlapping our demographic are coming up through the Gorge 6, 7, 8 times a year to head to festivals. So yeah, Yakima, believe it or not, it's crazy that it takes an outsider to remind some Yakima people this, but Yakima has a lot going on for it. And I scratch my head at the locals' view of their hometown, calling it Crackamaw and all that stuff is kind of crazy to me, because I see very easily Yakima becoming kind of the Bend of Washington. It could very easily become the outdoor recreation jumping off spot for the Central Cascades, if they want to.
Yeah.
But they gotta want to.
Well, I think Barrel would obviously be a really good step in that direction.
I do believe this could be a huge catalyst towards moving it in that direction. An absolutely huge catalyst. Because people in this region that don't have a ton of familiarity with surfing, don't fully understand the economic driver that surfing can be. They see what snowboarding can do. I mean, there's entire villages built around ski hills, and the same thing happens in surf towns, but we just don't get to ever see it because there's not that that commitment to the sport. Yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
Well, just it would be a really good.
Oh yes, outdoor. Yeah. The thing that I was getting at is that this project that we're talking about, I am talking about building a world-class surf facility, and the key with that is world-class. This will not only be a regional draw, it'll not only be a Western United States coastal draw. There will be people that travel from all around the world to come and surf this wave. Mm. I know that because I went to Dalgarog, Wales to surf one of these waves.
Wow.
And so people from all over the world will travel, not only for good waves, but for unique locations, and the ability that the wave is yours is actually a huge factor in surfing now, because what you'll hear about is all of the lineups out on the coast are so crowded, and it is hyper competitive to get a wave, fights if you cut people off, that just the fact that this wave is your wave in and of itself has value. And so, I think we're talking about really potentially changing Yakima's kind of view to the world with a facility like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how unique is one of these facilities?
Very unique at the moment, but they are coming. They're coming everywhere. At the moment, there are a bunch of different technologies that are all kind of vying to be the big wave technology, about a half a dozen. The company that we have selected is a Spanish company called Wave Garden. They don't have any parks currently open in North America. There's only 5 of these open in the world at the moment.
Jeez.
We were the second project to get our land use and our water use entitlements in the entire country. So we have, I think Virginia Beach is going to be the first one. They have Pharrell Williams back in their project, and I think they've already broken ground. Then there might be one in Myrtle Beach, and then I think Palm Springs will be after that.
Okay.
So we have the chance to be second, third, maybe fourth. But I got to find some true believers that are willing to write some checks and sign some checks to me. So that's the next step. That's the next hurdle.
Okay. Yeah. What's up, everyone? Kyle here. I am super excited to share that my audiobook version of Travel Tips is up now. You can find it on Audible, Libro.fm, and anywhere else that you get your podcasts. Go check it out and buy a copy. It also has 30 minutes, a little over 30 minutes of bonus commentary that isn't in the actual book, so that's a little added bonus. But go check it out. I appreciate all the support, and I hope you guys enjoy the episode. What's this process been like? I mean, you said it's been 8 years. Like, there's obviously a lot of steps involved. I mean, what have you learned? What have been like some of the hurdles you've had to get over to get to this point?
I've learned a whole lot. Yeah, this is my first ever development project. Thankfully, some of my investors have a whole lot more experience in development than I do, so have helped guide me along the way. But I am from a side of the state where we do not fight over water. Mm-hmm. And so just learning the complexities of water right law was extremely interesting, extremely complex. It actually took us 2 whole years to get our water right.
Wow.
It was a very detailed, very, very tedious process, no doubt. It was difficult, but what I tell people is development really isn't that complicated ultimately, right? It's because the rules are written for you. The rules are right there. They're just RCWs and their growth management plans and all that stuff. So as long as you understand the rules, you read the rules carefully, you can play the game. And so that's how I approached every step, was just read the rules, see how my project would fit I was trying to find a piece of property that my project fit into the rules rather than have to change the rules to meet my project. If that makes sense. And so, for example, I needed a parcel that was at least 25 acres. It couldn't be zoned ag. It had to be zoned something else. I couldn't be sourcing my water from irrigation canals, so it had to be a groundwater right. So yeah, most of the ag properties in this area are served by irrigation districts.
Yeah.
So to find a large piece of property that wasn't zoned ag, that had access to a groundwater right, there's not very many of them. Yeah, I searched for 3 years and I found one.
Wow.
And so, it was tedious is how I would describe the process. I mean, you had to dot every I and cross every T, because you know that the regulators that are going to review your stuff are going to dot every I and cross every T. Yeah. So, the key to it was not me. The key to it was me hiring really smart people. And that is the benefit of having embedded myself in the community by being the local bartender. It got me to the right people. It got me to Larry Martin at Halverson Northwest and Paul Dempsey. It got me to Jamie Carmody over at Myers Flug and Tenney or whatever it is. Dan, what's his name at Aspect Consulting? I'm forgetting his name, his last name. But those guys were the ones that, I mean, they saw my project. I think they appreciated how crazy it was. And wanted to see something like this come to be. And so, I owe a ton to all of the people that have helped me, the guys at PLSA Engineering, obviously the Roy family, the Smith family. I would not be where I am by any stretch of the imagination without the expertise and the help and the belief of a ton of other people. They showed me who to talk to. And then those guys were nice enough and kind enough to take me under the wing and take on something that doesn't cross their desk every day and not laugh me out of the room I owe those guys a lot. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm curious, going to talk with those guys, I'm sure you did research for what this could do for the community. Did you get specific numbers on how much this would bring in and how this would help, make the community better for everyone?
Yeah, I haven't looked at the numbers in a little bit, but Yakima County Development Association, John Smith and Joe Schmidt over there, they did a economic impact study for me. And I can't remember, it was over 100 construction jobs. It was a ripple effect of, I think, 70 additional jobs.
Wow.
And then we're talking about generating $1.5 million in state and local taxes.
Wow.
And that does bring up a good point, because especially in this town, there's obviously a lot of concerns about water. And what I tell people is that for this, the Roy family has agreed to stop growing the necessary acres to offset what we need. It ended up being about 14 and a half acres, just under 15. That's all we need for our annual usage. And so what I tell people that are still debating whether this project is a good thing for the community is I ask them, can 15 acres of orchards generate the 100 plus construction jobs and the 70 plus ripple effect jobs? And can 15 acres of orchards generate $1.5 million in state and local taxes? I would venture a guess that the answer is no.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And so, yes, my basically point that I'm trying to get across to this valley is, yes, let's continue the ag piece. But that after water is put on ag, that's the end of use of it. Let's get a use before it. Let's generate some revenue with that water before it, and then put it on the crops. Then you're getting double revenue for every drop of water.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm hoping that people can kind of see the creativity that you can do something with water before it ends up on crops, and it still be just as valuable to the crop.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm hoping that might stem some ideas. I think Boise Cascade, they should be putting in a whitewater Olympic level rafting course. They have a water right that allows them to redirect the Yakima out and then put it back in, which is insane.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we should be using the water, just a little bit more efficiently is kind of my piece on it.
Yeah, it sounds like you can get more out of the same amount of water.
Yeah, and we, like, for our pool, we won't need to empty our pool unless there's a catastrophic, disastrous malfunction. So we're planning on holding the water over winter every year, so just topping off for evaporation. But if we do have to empty it, we're going to build the infrastructure so it'll get captured in the holding pond on the farm to the south. And then we'll have to let it sit for a few days to let the chlorine dissipate, and then it's ready to get used on the crops. So, full circle. We are trying to be very good stewards of both the environment in our neighborhood and the valley. We're trying to take a bit of a different approach than a typical developer would. And so, I bought a house in the neighborhood thinking that it would be a gesture of goodwill about believing traffic and water. I don't think it quite landed that way. But I mean, name another developer that lives in the neighborhood of that they're developing. I am trying to be different, and I'm trying to do things different. And I hope people can see that.
Yeah, well, I mean, that definitely attracts me more to it. It's like, oh, okay, you're really doing all the things to make this, sustainable and great for everyone involved. And it's not just taking away from something else so that you're successful.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. This is a for-profit business. Yeah. I am hoping to make money on this, definitely. But there are a lot of things that you can just make money in. Mm-hmm. It is what really drives me is my whole goal in life, starting from scuba instructing, was to introduce people to the ocean. I think in order to get people to care about the ocean, they got to get in it.
Yeah.
And so figuring out ways to get people comfortable in water and in the ocean has always been my drive. I tell people that if you don't believe in aliens, go for a scuba dive because they live amongst us already. It is a magical, magical place. I am driven by the idea of getting people comfortable in the ocean, and so that they can enjoy and care about and hopefully stop all the mean things that we're doing to it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, going back to the Hawaii vacation that you were talking about, like, I know for someone like me who I said, I'm a bit fearful of the ocean, but like going and, learning how to surf at Barreled, and then that, I feel like that would give me the confidence to go spend more time out in the ocean and see it in a different way, not just being scared the whole time. I'd have the confidence to be out there.
Yeah. And the thing with surfing is there are so many factors that need to line up in order for you to have a good surf day, right? Mm-hmm. The wind's got to come from the right direction. The swell's got to come from the right direction. The timing's got to be right. And so unless you live on the north coast of Oahu, or you live down in Southern California, you don't get too many opportunities. Mm-hmm. So the chance to improve your skill basically is non-existent.
Yeah.
And so what these things really, especially for an amateur surfer, is it will allow you to speed through the early learning stages, because you are going to get so many of those opportunities, so many of those quality opportunities, mm-hmm. That would usually take you days and weeks. You can get all of them in one day. And so we're expecting people to progress a lot faster Now there will still be a transition period to the ocean. Once you get to the ocean, it's different. It is not a pool. But we're hoping that because you kind of had that advanced metrics, you've gotten to paddle in and pop up and catch a wave a number more times than you would in the open ocean, that your skill and improvement will outpace a typical ocean surfer. Yeah. Just because, like I said, the fact that I can guarantee you a wave in and of itself is pretty special.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. So is it like every couple minutes there's a wave shooting out, or how does that work?
So the reason why I went with the Wave Garden team as opposed to any of the other technology providers is Wave Garden recognized very early on that the game wasn't quality of wave, the game was wave output capacity. Because a lot of guys can make a really nice wave, but they can't make very many of them, at least not enough of them to make it commercially viable.
Yeah.
And so these guys, they say they can create up to 1,000 waves per hour.
Wow.
Which I, for my numbers, brought back all the way down to 600 waves per hour.
Still.
Yeah. And so they can basically send out a wave every 10 to 15 seconds if they want. And the way it kind of works is you'll have 10 people in your rotation. And so they'll basically spit out 10 waves and all 10 guys will go. And then it'll give the pool a couple of seconds to settle while they're repositioning back into the takeoff zone.
Huh.
Yeah. So it'll run on a loop, and then those big premium waves, once they crash, they will reform into like 2-foot ankle biters, and that's where all the beginners will be.
Okay.
That's where cool. You'll be taking your licks, learning, getting rolled on the foam boards.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the kind of the outfield, if the pool resembles a baseball diamond, the outfield will be for the beginners, and the infield will be for the experts, and it's bisected by the wave machine, so it can put out a right hand, and then it at the same time can put out a left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So you can train rights, you can train lefts. It has the variability to make a longboard style Malibu cruiser wave or a 7-foot barreling steep wave. So there's a ton of variability, which is will hopefully keep people interested.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely. So how will the park work? Like, if I'm a visitor coming for the day or a couple days, how does that work?
Sure. So if you're a day visitor, you'll pull up into our parking lot. You'll our single point of entry and exit will be our surf barn. Everything will have a rural theme to it. This in our surf barn, it'll have ticket sales. It'll have our surf shop and our merch shop. You'll walk through the entrance barn and be met with the pool with Mount Adams right behind it. Off to your left, kind of on a little bit of a elevated knoll, will be our bar and restaurant. That Whole Foods food concept, hot station, cold station, salad bar, and then we'll be pouring beer, wine, and cocktails from all our favorite breweries, wineries, and distilleries. And then over to the right will be what we've dubbed our tractor sheds. That'll be men's and women's locker rooms with showers and lockers. Plus, there'll be 3 auxiliary rooms that can be used for yoga, corporate events, birthday parties. Terraced into the hillside, kind of above the tractor shed, will be where the cottages are. And then kind of to the left of the cottages is where the RV park and the campground will be. So they'll all have an amazing view of Mount Adams.
Yeah, that's a great view up there.
Yeah.
It'll be amazing.
Yeah.
And then people can just have a wristband and just hang out.
So you'll pay $5 if you're a non-surfer, you'll pay $5 to get into the park, and then you'll have access to everything besides the surf pool. If you are a surfer, that'll be included in your surf fee. Generally speaking, we're looking at about $90 for an hour worth of surfing, which this is one of the other keys that I've had to explain to people. An hour worth of surfing is almost the equivalent of a day on the ski hill.
Wow.
I will be able to guarantee you 12 opportunities at catching waves. You'll have to catch the waves, but it's up to you, but you'll get 12 of them.
Uh-huh.
But generally speaking, I tried to catch 12 waves in an hour when I went to Dog Rog, and I ended up on all fours thrown up on the side of the pool. So it will, yeah, it is a full experience. But for like the newbies that are coming in, we'll probably offer a 2-hour lesson for about $100. Okay. It'll be an hour outside the pool where we go through the basics, and then an hour inside the pool where we'll hopefully get you standing on your first wave.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds like a blast. I can't wait for it to come to fruition here.
Man, I'm working every single day. I am scratching and clawing, looking for investment leads. So if you or anybody on your audience, listeners, have any ideas for me, I will take them all. I have sent emails to Pete Carroll and Eddie Vedder and all sorts of random people. I will chase any lead. But yeah, I can only get there with some help from my friends. And so I play the Powerball every time I go and get gas just in case. But yeah, if anybody has some ideas, I am an open book. Shoot me an email, joey@surfbarrel.com, and I will welcome them with open arms.
Yeah. So what's left? Is it just getting that investment so you can start construction?
No, not quite. So we are raising an intermediate round to get us through the last set of entitlements.
Okay.
So I have gotten through the scary permits, which are land use and water use. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones that the rest of the parks are still scratching and clawing, fighting for. I have them. Now I need to pay engineers and architects to put together very detailed schematics that I can then submit for construction permits. The big question mark is how Department of Health will regulate the pool. That has caused some issues in other states, but I already have a letter saying they'll consider us a specialty pool in the recreational water contact facility, RCWs. So that clears the path for us. But once I have that final set of entitlements, then I got to go raise the CapEx number, which is really, really, really big. I don't know it exactly yet. It could change just a little bit once the schematics are finally hammered out. But once I have these final set of entitlements, I become a different investable project. Once there is a echelon of wealth that I didn't know about, but they don't wait for the government. They are only presented projects that are ready to go. And so if I was to try to put my project up, still having this government question mark unknown amount of time, they would swipe it off the table. Yeah. So I got to get to shovel ready, and then I can compete against those other projects that get put in front of, and we're talking the ultra wealthy, the Waltons and all those guys, the Gates and so yeah, I hope to get to play in that sandbox, but I am not there yet. So I'm working on getting there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know you kind of mentioned it, but how can people listening help?
Yeah, so the first thing is if you just hop on social media, the easiest way is give us a follow on Facebook or Instagram. We're at Surf Barreled. And as silly as it sounds, I do use those metrics to prove to potential investors that there is interest, that there is a market. And so the higher I can drive those numbers, the better. So tell your friends, tell your family, give me a follow. But if you are connected in the investment world, real estate development world, somehow, some way, like I said, I am looking for not only leads, but more importantly, introductions. The hardest part for me is getting my foot in the door. Once I can get my foot in the door and they can see the park, if I can get past if I can describe it more than just surf park, usually I've got a pretty good shot.
Yeah.
But I need to be able to get a few minutes in front of them to give them the full taste. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Well, hopefully people listening will be able to help. I know I wish I had, $5 million to give you right now.
Keep playing the Powerball, baby. 6 numbers away.
No, but I think this is an amazing project. I think it'd be amazing for the community and beyond too. It's something that I feel is unique and sustainable and great for everyone involved. So super excited to be following you on the journey, and hopefully, this helps you out in some way.
Yeah, no, I tell people that this, don't want to toot my own horn too loud, but this could be a project that changes the direction of the town of Yakima, I believe, to my core, which is why I've chased it so hard and so vigorously. And I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with your audience and the support and like I said, I make no progress without the help from everybody else around me. So I appreciate it a great deal.
Yeah, for sure. I'm happy to have you on anytime. I appreciate you sharing your story again, and
maybe once I get to maybe once I get a shovel in the ground, then we'll circle back. But,
definitely.
Who knows how long that'll take? So knock on wood. Wish me luck, and hopefully we can get this valley surfing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Joey, thanks again. Your commitment and your passion to this really shows, and that's really infectious. And super excited to keep following the journey.
Right on, man. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks, brother.
Bye, everyone. Hey, everybody. Kyle here. If you enjoyed today's show and want more, you can always check out every episode on Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, and now Amazon Music as well. Just search for Our Travel Experiences on any of those platforms and it will pop up. You can also find everything all in one place on my website, ourtravelexp.com. And if you want to see my travel pictures as well as travel pictures from guests on the show, you can check them out on Instagram. The page is called Our Travel Experiences Podcast. And if you want to share your own pictures on the Instagram page or be a guest on the podcast, you can message me via that Instagram page or email me at ourtravelexperiences@outlook.com. I would love to see your pictures and hear about your travel experiences, so please send them my way. And if that isn't enough for you, make sure to check out my weekly YouTube show, From Around the World Fridays. Every Friday, I'm taking 5 to 10 minutes to answer questions from listeners, share some souvenirs that I bought over the years, share my postcards over the years that I've accumulated, or share videos and pictures from one particular city or country that I visited, and so much more. So check it out, guys. You won't be disappointed. And make sure you go subscribe to that as well. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you somewhere around the world soon. Thank you to all the listeners and subscribers of this podcast. It's amazing that I get the opportunity to do this and, talk to all of these amazing people around the world and hear their stories and share it with you. It's been a dream doing this. It's a lot of fun, and I'm excited to keep moving forward with it. As always, the subscriptions, $3 of the monthly subscription goes towards providing school supplies to kids in need around the world. And I'll be providing more updates on those, on progress with that as time moves along. But again, hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you next week for another inspiring story and great episode. Have a great week. See you next time.